I caught my brother and his fiancée sleeping in my bed for 6 months. My whole family covered for them. So, I sold my house, moved 3,000 miles, built a new life. Now, they want me back. Hey, Reddit. So, the Thursday I found them, I was not supposed to be home until 8. I, 30 male, work as a fraud investigator, an AML analyst at a major bank, handling anti-money laundering cases and investigating fraudulent transactions across the tri-state area. That particular Thursday, a vendor fraud case I had been building for 3 weeks resolved itself when the suspect's own accounting records surfaced in Discovery. I closed the file by 2 p.m. My manager signed off on the report, and I figured I would grab those ridiculously expensive candles Dominique kept mentioning. The ones from that boutique on 5th Street that she would slow down past every time we walked by. $38 for something that smelled like vanilla and burned down in 20 hours. But she wanted them, and I wanted to see her smile. The engagement ring had cost me 4 months of savings. Wedding venue, photographer, caterer, florist, honeymoon deposits. I was almost 18 grand deep into a future that seemed worth every penny. 4 years of my life, every plan, every dream. My brother Wesley's truck was in the driveway when I pulled up. Not unusual. He had been crashing in our guest room since January after getting let go from his sales job at a car dealership. Something about numbers not meeting quota. Though Wesley's version involved a jealous manager and unfair expectations. I had not pushed for details because it did not matter. He was my brother. He needed help. Gave him a roof, meals, zero pressure on a timeline. That is what brothers do. The house was quiet when I walked in. Too quiet for 2 people being home. Wesley's shoes were by the door, his jacket on the hook. Dominique's purse on the kitchen counter where she always left it. But no TV, no music, no voices. Then I heard it coming from upstairs, from the master bedroom. That rhythm you cannot mistake for anything else. The headboard hitting the wall in a steady beat I recognized because I had heard it before from the other side. Here is the thing about moments like that. Real life is not kicking down doors and throwing punches. Real life is your brain going calm because falling apart does not get you leverage. It just makes you the bad guy in whatever story gets told afterward. I walked upstairs, each step deliberate. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. The bedroom door was cracked open. They had not even bothered to close it all the way. Why would they? I was not supposed to be home for another 6 hours. I pushed the door open, and there they were. Wesley scrambled off her so fast he nearly fell off the bed. Dominique grabbed the sheet like that would somehow undo what I was looking at. Like covering up now would erase the image that was already burned into my brain forever. My bed, my sheets, the headboard. I had spent 2 weekends assembling because the instructions were in Swedish and half the dowels did not fit right. Brennan, she started. How long? My voice came out flat, controlled. They looked at each other. Even then, even caught, they had their own silent language, their own communication that did not need words. That is when I knew this was not new. This was not a moment of weakness or a terrible mistake. This was routine. How long, Dominique? She was crying now. Real tears. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year since January. That meant it started right after Wesley moved in. Right after I had offered him my home because he had nowhere else to go. Right after I told him to take as long as he needed to get back on his feet. I did the math automatically. 6 months of dinners I had cooked for all 3 of us. 6 months of mortgage payments on a house they were using as their personal love nest. 6 months of wedding planning. The venue tours. The cake tastings. The invitations we had agonized over. The vows I had written and rewritten trying to get them perfect. 6 months of looking her in the eye every night and believing she loved me. I turned around and walked out. Just walked downstairs past the kitchen where I had made them breakfast that morning, past the living room where we had watched movies as a family out to my car. I drove to the parking lot behind the public library, sat there for 2 hours with my phone on silent while I worked through the logistics of my life falling apart. Then I got to work. First, I opened our joint banking app. 3 accounts, checking, savings, emergency fund. Total balance, $23,847. Half of that was mine, money I had earned, deposited, saved. I transferred exactly $11,923.50 into my personal account that Dominique did not have access to. Not a penny more. I was not trying to steal from her, I was protecting what was mine. Then I took screenshots, transaction history going back 6 months. Every dinner I had paid for while she was sleeping with my brother. Every grocery run where I had bought food they both ate. Every utility bill that kept the lights on in the house where they betrayed me. Then I checked our shared iCloud account, the one I had set up when we first moved in together. We had both been syncing our devices to it for years. Her notes app was right there, found what I was looking for in under 10 minutes. A note titled W with a heart emoji. Dated entries going back to January 14th. January 14th finally happened. Felt wrong, but also right. B does not suspect anything. January 28th. We need to be more careful. B almost came home early. February 12th, told W I love him. He said it back. March 3rd. B almost caught us today. Heart was pounding for an hour. This is so risky. But I cannot stop. March 22nd, W says we should tell B eventually. Not yet. Not until after the wedding. I screenshot everything. Her email was synced through the same shared account. I pulled it up on my phone from the parking lot, found the messages between them. Nothing explicit, but plenty of miss you already and tonight was perfect and we need to be more careful. And counting the minutes until B leaves for work. The wedding invitations had gone out 2 weeks prior. 187 cream-colored envelopes with our names in gold script. Brennan and Dominique in a font she had spent 3 hours choosing. The photographer was booked, $2,800 half up front. The caterer, the DJ, the florist. Her dress was hanging in our closet in a garment bag that cost $300 just to preserve the fabric until the ceremony. I had written my vows 3 times, trying to get them perfect. They were still saved in my notes app. I had practiced them in the shower that morning while she was probably texting my brother about when they could meet up next. By the time I finished documenting everything, it was past 7:43 missed calls between Dominique, Wesley, and my mom, 16 voicemails, 81 text messages. I did not answer any of them. I drove to a Holiday Inn Express off the highway, paid cash for a week. The room smelled like industrial cleaner and recycled air and other people's problems, but it had a deadbolt and nobody knew where I was. That counted for something. The family meeting happened Sunday at my mom's house. She had called from my sister Cassidy's phone because I had already blocked everyone else. Brennan, we need to discuss this like adults. 2:00. Everyone will be there. I should have said no. Should have hung up and blocked that number. 2. But some stupid part of me still thought blood meant something. Thought I would walk in and they would be handing Wesley his bags, telling him and Dominique to get out and never come back. Thought my mother would put her arm around me and say she was sorry this happened and that she would always be on my side. I was an idiot. The living room was arranged like an intervention when I arrived. Mom in her armchair by the window, the one Dad bought her before he left. Cassidy on the love seat with her arms crossed, already looking annoyed that she had had to give up her Sunday for this. Wesley and Dominique on the main couch, sitting close enough that their shoulders touched, looking tired, looking sad, looking like the victims in their own narrative. The only empty seat was a dining chair someone had dragged in from the kitchen, positioned directly facing all of them like I was on trial. I stayed standing. Brennan, sit down, Mom said. That voice, the one she used when I was 16 and came home past curfew. Gentle but firm. The voice that meant she had already decided who was wrong. I will stand. Why is she here? Because she is part of this family, or she was going to be. She is the reason we are having this conversation. Dominique started crying. Real tears, wet and theatrical, right on cue. Brennan, I am so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. Wesley and I tried to fight it. We really did. But sometimes you cannot help who you fall for. I watched her work the room. The trembling lip. The way she dabbed at her eyes with the tissue she had conveniently had ready. The way she leaned into Wesley like he was her lifeline. She had rehearsed this, probably spent all weekend perfecting it. We are in love, Wesley said. His voice cracked on cue. I know the timing is terrible, and I know I messed up, but what Dom and I have is real. We did not plan this. It just happened. It just happened, I repeated. For 6 months in my house, in my bed, while I was at work keeping a roof over your head because you could not keep a job. Brennan, do not be crude, Cassidy said from the love seat. Crude? That is what concerns you right now. My word choice. Mom stood up and walked over to me, put her hand on my arm with that gentle, disappointed expression I remembered from 100 arguments I had never won. Honey, I know you are hurt. Anyone would be. But Wesley is your brother. Blood family forgives. And if Dominique and Wesley have real feelings for each other, real genuine feelings, maybe it is better this happened now. Before the wedding, before you two made a mistake you could not take back, I stared at her. This was the woman who had called me her rock, her reliable son, the one who showed up, the one who fixed things, the one who had supported her for 8 months after Dad left, letting her live in my spare room, rent-free while she figured out her finances. The one who co-signed her car loan because her credit was wrecked. The one who called every Sunday without fail because that is what good sons do. You are taking their side. There are not sides. Brennan. We are all family. You are taking their side. Wesley feels terrible. Cassidy cut in, leaning forward. They both do. This has been eating them alive. They did not want to hurt you. They were going to tell you themselves after the wedding. After the wedding? I laughed. The sound came out harsh and broken. So, the plan was to let me marry her, go on a honeymoon with her, build a life with her, and then what? Surprise. Your wife's been sleeping with your brother the whole time? That is not Dominique started. That is exactly what you just said. You were going to wait until after the wedding. We were confused. We did not know what to do. You knew exactly what to do. You did it for 6 months in my bed. Every chance you got. You are being dramatic, Dominique said, and something in her voice shifted harder now. Testing. She had realized the tearful routine was not working, so she was trying something else. It is not like we set out to betray you. It just happened. People's feelings changed, Brennan. That is life. That is how relationships work sometimes. Your feelings changed into my brother while wearing my ring. Maybe the ring was a mistake. Maybe we moved too fast. Maybe if you had paid more attention to me instead of working all the time. There it was. My fault. Of course, it was my fault. I had driven her to it by working too much, working to pay for the wedding she wanted, working to save for the house she wanted, working to build the future she claimed to want. I looked around the room one more time. My mother, who had chosen her cheating son over her betrayed one. My sister, who had called my reaction to being cheated on dramatic. My brother, who had repaid my kindness by sleeping with my fiancée in my home for half a year. Here is what is going to happen, I said, and my voice was calm now. Deadly calm. The calm I used at work when reviewing evidence that was about to destroy someone's case. I am going to walk out of here. You are all going to live with the choices you made today. And in about a week, everyone we know, every single person who got an invitation to that wedding is going to find out exactly what kind of people you are. What does that mean? Mom's voice had an edge now. The first real sign of concern. It means consequences. Something this family apparently forgot existed. Brennan, do not do anything stupid. Wesley started. I have been doing something stupid for years. Trusting you. That ends today. I walked out. Nobody followed. Nobody called after me to apologize. Nobody ran to stop me or take my side or tell me they had made a mistake. Yeah. That told me everything. Monday morning, I started building my case like I was investigating fraud because that is exactly what this was. Credit freeze with all 3 bureaus, new checking account at a different bank, new phone number. I locked down every account, changed every password, removed Dominique from everything, and documented it all. By Tuesday, I had called my real estate agent and told him to list the house this week. While he was there for photos, I had the locks changed. Wednesday, I drafted the formal eviction notice for Wesley. 30 days written notice. Certified mail with signature confirmation. Not emotional, not vindictive, just legal terminology about termination of verbal month-to-month tenancy arrangement and requirement to vacate premises. Added a line about sheriff escort being available during final move-out if needed. Wednesday night was wedding logistics. The venue called and explained the situation without going into details. Just the wedding is canceled. I was the sole name on the contract. Please confirm this in writing. They were sympathetic but firm. No refund on the deposit. I had expected that. I just needed the paper trail. Total money lost. Roughly $8,400. A small price to learn who someone really was. Wednesday night, Dominique showed up. I watched through the security camera app while I sat in my car 3 blocks away. She pounded on the door for 10 minutes, called my name, tried her old key, did not work, called me 16 times in a row while standing on the porch. Eventually, she left, but not before kicking the door hard enough to leave a scuff mark I would have to explain to potential buyers. Dominique had texted 17 times asking when she could come get her stuff. I told her Saturday between 2 and 4 p.m. Supervised. She could have a friend present if she wanted. I would have the sheriff's non-emergency line on speed dial just in case. The house went on the market Thursday. Thursday also brought the near mistake. I was grabbing the last of my clothes from the house when Wesley's truck pulled into the driveway. He must have been watching for my car. Maybe Dominique had called him. Maybe they had been coordinating. He caught me on the front porch blocking the path to my car. Brennan, we need to talk. No, we do not. Just give me 5 minutes. Let me explain. There is nothing to explain. I am family. That is why we need to work through this. That is why I am here to apologize to make things right. Something about the way he said it made me actually look at him. His eyes were red. Hands shaking slightly. Could not meet my gaze for more than a second before looking away. He was not sorry. He was scared. What did Dominique tell you? I asked. What do you mean about the wedding cancellation? His face went pale. That confirmed it. She had called one of the vendors, probably the venue or photographer, and they had mentioned the cancellation was already in process, and now they were scrambling to get ahead of it. Brennan, whatever you are thinking about doing, already done. I pushed past him toward my car. The emails go out Saturday at 9:00 a.m. 187 guests, plus the wedding party, plus both families' extended networks. You cannot do that. You will destroy us. No, you destroyed this. I am just telling people about it. What about the deposits? The money we lost. I stopped at my car door, turned back to look at him. There is no we anymore, Wesley. There is me and there is you and Dominique. Figure out your own problems. Brennan, please. I am begging you. I got in my car, started the engine, Rolled down the window. Should have thought about consequences 6 months ago. I drove away, watched him shrink in the rearview mirror until I turned the corner. The email went out Saturday morning at 9:00 a.m. exactly. I had scheduled it the night before from my hotel room, triple-checked the recipient list, and read through the message one more time to make sure it was clean. Subject line, wedding cancellation, Brennan and Dominique. The body was 4 paragraphs, factual, no emotion, no insults, no accusations beyond what I could prove, just truth. But I was not done. 30 minutes later, I sent a separate email to the wedding party. Bridesmaids, groomsmen, the people who had committed time and money to stand up with us. Same factual tone, but with one additional line. If you need verification of these events or have questions about refunds, please contact Dominique or Wesley directly. Push the responsibility back where it belonged. I turned off my phone and went for a drive. 3 hours through back roads I had never taken, past farms and fields and places where nobody knew my name or my family or my story. When I turned my phone back on at sunset, I had 94 unread texts and 67 missed calls. The responses split into predictable camps: support from people who had known me longest, neutral confusion from guests trying to figure out logistics, and damage control from my family demanding I retract everything. My mom's voicemail was particularly memorable. "Brennan, what have you done? Everyone is calling me." "Everyone, how could you humiliate your brother like this?" I saved the voicemail, screenshot everything that came through text, added it to my archive. The social fallout started within 48 hours. Dominique worked as a dental hygienist at a local dental practice. The practice owners were connected to my parents through mutual friends. By Monday afternoon, the practice owner had heard enough that he called Dominique into his office. She was not fired. That would have been wrongful termination, but she was moved to their satellite location 45 minutes away with reduced hours. Within 3 weeks, she quit. Wesley had managed to land a sales spot at another dealership a few weeks before the email went out. Car sales is relationship business. Referrals matter. Repeat customers matter. Reputation matters. When people are spending $20,000 or $30,000 on a vehicle, they want to trust the person selling it to them. Word got around the dealership about what he had done. Then word got to customers. The guys who had bought from Wesley before and were planning to come back for their next purchase started asking for different salespeople. The families who had referred their friends stopped referring. His pipeline dried up. His numbers dropped 60% in 6 weeks. Management put him on a performance improvement plan. When he did not improve, could not improve because reputation damage does not heal that fast. They let him go that fall. None of this was my doing. Not directly. Not technically. I just told the truth one time to the people who deserved to know why they were not attending my wedding. Everything else was just gravity. The house sold in 11 days. Cash offer $8,000 under asking from a young couple relocating from out of state. I took it immediately. The buyers could close in 2 weeks and I needed to be gone. But before I left, I had unfinished business. I filed 2 small claims action. One against Wesley for unpaid rent. 6 months of living expenses at fair market value for the guest room, plus utilities calculated at $300 per month, $1,800 total, well within small claims limits. The second against Dominique for provable shared expenses she had committed to before the affair came to light. Half the venue deposit we had paid jointly, half the photographer deposit, half the caterer advance, clean documentation, joint bank statements, vendor contracts with both our names, total $4,200. I filed both cases the same day, paid for professional service. Had them served at their workplaces through proper legal channels. Dominique got hers at the dental office during lunch hour. Wesley got his at the dealership showroom in front of customers. Public humiliation legally delivered. The court dates were scheduled for 2 months out. I did not care if I won, though. The documentation was solid enough that I probably would. I cared about the process, the certified letters, the awkward conversations when people asked why they were being sued, the fact that their names were now in public court records associated with the words unpaid rent and breach of agreement. Consequences that lasted. My boss had mentioned a position at our West Coast office 9 months earlier. Operations supervisor in Portland. Better title, better money, better opportunities. I turned it down because Dominique did not want to leave her family. Did not want to move across the country. Did not want to start over somewhere new. Funny how that worked out. I called my boss on a Thursday morning. That Portland position still available. Regional operations coordinator now. Same office, bigger scope. Why you interested? When did they need someone? Honestly, 2 weeks ago. They had been running short-staffed since February. I will be there in 3 weeks. Before I left, the harassment started escalating. My aunt showed up at my hotel, then my cousin, then family friends I barely remembered. All of them with the same script. Family forgives. Blood is thicker than water. Wesley is suffering. Dominique is suffering. You need to let this go. I drafted a cease and desist letter. Not from a lawyer. Could not afford one. But I found a template online. Customized it. Printed it on professional letterhead I made myself. Cited harassment statutes. Listed every contact attempt with dates and times. Sent it certified mail to my mother's address with instructions to forward it to anyone who continued contacting me. Added one line at the bottom. Further unwanted contact will result in a restraining order filing and documentation of harassment pattern with local law enforcement. It worked. The calls stopped. The move cost me almost everything I had left after the house sale cleared. $1,700 for the U-Haul, $800 for gas across 10 states. First and security on a studio apartment I found on Craigslist. By the time I had a bed and enough kitchen supplies to feed myself, my savings account showed $1,100. But nobody knew me here. Nobody looked at me with pity or whispered when I walked past. Nobody asked about Dominique or Wesley or the wedding that did not happen. I was anonymous, and anonymous was exactly what I needed. Work was the only thing keeping me sane. I showed up early, left late, solved problems nobody else wanted to touch. Within 8 months, they promoted me to operations manager with a 15% raise. I took it. Then I asked what I would need to do to get the next one. 13 months after I arrived, I met Meredith at a coworker's birthday party. She was a veterinary technician at an animal hospital in Southeast Portland. The kind of person who spent her days caring for scared animals and worried owners. Quiet laugh, direct questions, a way of looking at you like she was actually listening instead of just waiting for her turn to talk. We talked for 3 hours about nothing important. Music, movies, the best hiking trails within an hour of the city. Whether pineapple belonged on pizza, her position, absolutely not, and she was willing to fight about it. When I walked her to her car, she handed me her number without me asking. Our first real date was at a Thai place in the Pearl District. She ordered the spiciest thing on the menu and did not flinch when it arrived looking like it could melt through the plate. So, she said, what is your story? Why you move across the country to Portland? I could have lied. Given her the sanitized version. Fresh start, new opportunities, career growth, all technically true and completely meaningless. But I was done pretending. So I told her everything. The discovery, the family meeting, the email, the small claims filings, the move. Watched her face for the judgment or pity or uncomfortable shifting that usually came when people learned your life had imploded. None of it showed up. When I finished, she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. They started trying to get me back around month 18. First came the flying monkeys. Old high school contacts, distant cousins, Facebook friends from college, people I had not talked to in years, suddenly sliding into my DMs with variations of the same script. Your sister says you will not answer her calls. Do not you think it is time to move on? And Wesley has been really struggling since everything happened. Then came the health card. A text from my uncle on my mom's side from a number I had not thought to block. Your mom's been diagnosed with early stage breast cancer. Stage 1 treatable, but she is asking for you. I know what happened was messed up, but she is your mother, Brennan. I sat with that one for 3 days, called Meredith, talked it through, picked the whole thing apart. Mom had not asked for me directly. Cassidy was orchestrating the outreach through my uncle. Same dynamic as always. The family coordinating behind the scenes to manage me, manipulate me, get me back in line. I texted him back. Tell Mom I hope her treatment goes well. I am not coming back. His response was short. She will be devastated. I did not reply. Mom's treatment went fine. I know because Cassidy posted about it constantly on Facebook before I blocked her there, too. Photos of Mom smiling in the hospital bed. Captions about family rallying together and getting through tough times. Not a single mention of the son who was not there. Fine by me. Then Dominique found my new email address 20 months after I had left. Brennan. I know I am the last person you want to hear from. I know you probably hate me and I deserve that. Wesley and I broke up 8 months ago. It was a mistake. All of it. I threw away the best thing I ever had for someone who could not even commit when things got hard. I was stupid and selfish and cruel, and I hurt you in ways I cannot take back. I am not asking for another chance. I just needed you to know that I know what I lost. I hope you are happy somewhere. You deserve to be. D. I read it twice, noted the careful language, the implied victimhood. The Wesley could not commit deflection. The attempt to position herself as the one who had suffered. Then I blocked her email address. Too little, too late, and I did not need her guilt cluttering my inbox. Things escalated at month 22. A coworker mentioned that someone had been asking questions about me at a spot downtown. A woman matching Dominique's description, claiming to be an old friend trying to reconnect, wanting to know where I worked, where I lived, whether I was seeing anyone. I alerted building security at my apartment complex. Updated my locks to a keypad system. Changed my daily patterns, different routes to work, different gym schedule, different grocery store. Started documenting everything in a folder on my computer just in case. 2 weeks later, an anonymous email arrived at my work address, sent to me in CC to my entire department, including my boss and 3 levels of management. You all should know that Brennan is not who he claims to be. He is a manipulative, Vindictive person who destroyed his own family and blamed everyone else for his failures. He drove his ex-fiancée to a breakdown. He abandoned his sick mother. Do not trust anything he says about his past or his character. No signature, no specifics, no facts, just vague character assassination designed to make people look at me differently. I forwarded it to HR within an hour. Included a summary of the situation. Ex-fiancée, affair with my brother, family estrangement, ongoing harassment, provided documentation, screenshots of previous contact attempts, timeline of events, copies of the cease and desist letter I had already sent. HR launched an investigation. It traced the email to an IP address associated with a coffee shop in the same city where Dominique now lived. They could not prove conclusively it was her public Wi-Fi, no login records, but the pattern was clear enough. I did not waste any time. I hired a paralegal service online, $180 for a professionally formatted cease and desist letter citing harassment statutes and documenting the pattern of unwanted contact. Sent it certified mail to Dominique's current address, which took me about 20 minutes of public record searching to find. Then I filed a report with the local police in her jurisdiction, not to press charges. I did not have enough evidence for that, but to create a paper trail, to have her name in a system somewhere associated with harassment in case things escalated further. Saved the incident report number in my documentation folder. The anonymous emails stopped, but I added one more layer, updated my will, my emergency contacts, and my beneficiary information on every account I had. Put Meredith's name on all of it. Every last trace of the old life gone. Added a note in my personnel file at work documenting the harassment pattern and authorizing HR to share information with law enforcement if needed. I was done looking back. 3 years to the day after I left, everything lined up. Meredith and I had been married for 6 months. Small ceremony, just friends and her family, people who had actually earned the right to celebrate with us. Our daughter Lily was 3 months old. Born in May, with her mother's eyes and my stubborn refusal to sleep on schedule. I had been promoted twice at the company, regional operations director now, corner office with a view of the Willamette River, a team of 14 people who reported to me. The salary was not make you rich money, but it was solid enough that we had bought a house in a quiet neighborhood and stopped worrying about every purchase. The final piece fell into place because Dominique could not leave well enough alone. She had gotten a new job after leaving the practice. Dental hygienist at a small office in her hometown, back where she had started. Trying for a clean slate, respectable position, fresh start. What she did not know was that the new practice owner was connected to the state dental board, and that one of the board's ethics committee members happened to be Meredith's uncle. Not something I had planned, not something I had engineered, just how small professional worlds work sometimes. Over Thanksgiving dinner at Meredith's parents' house, her uncle mentioned they had had to investigate a hygienist who had been caught running unauthorized searches through the State Health Information Exchange. The lookups she ran were all connected to one person. He said some guy who used to live in state moved to Oregon. She claimed she was just curious about an old acquaintance. But HIPAA does not care about curiosity. I nearly dropped my fork. What was her name? He told me it was Dominique. She had been using her credentials to search for information about me through the Health Information Exchange. My current address, my employer, my insurance details, everything logged automatically because healthcare privacy laws require audit trails. The practice owner discovered the pattern during a routine audit. No clinical justification, no treatment relationship, just unauthorized access to protected health information. I asked him what the consequences were. License suspension pending full investigation. If the board determines she intentionally violated patient privacy for personal reasons, which seems pretty clear from the pattern, she is looking at permanent revocation, plus potential civil liability if the patient decides to pursue it. I was not going to pursue it. I did not need to. The board had already launched their investigation. The audit trail spoke for itself. Her own actions had created the evidence. I had filed a police report 2 years earlier, documented the harassment pattern, sent a formal cease and desist, created a paper trail that showed this was not isolated curiosity. It was part of an ongoing pattern of unwanted contact. When the board investigator requested background information, all of that documentation was sitting in a folder, organized chronologically, ready to forward. Professional misconduct, privacy violation, harassment pattern, documented and dated. She had nuked herself. I just kept the receipts. 3 weeks later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered out of habit before checking. Brennan, my mother's voice. Please, we need to talk. How did you get this number? Your cousin gave it to me. He did not know. Brennan, please just listen. I should have hung up. But something in her voice made me hesitate. She sounded old, tired, different from the woman who told me to forgive my brother 3 years ago. What do you want, Mom? Wesley is falling apart. Lost another job. Cannot keep a relationship. Dominique is blaming him for everything that happened with her career. They are both just spiraling. And I know you do not owe any of us anything, but he is still your brother. He still needs family. He had family. He had me. And he chose to sleep with my fiancée for 6 months while I paid his rent. We were wrong. All of us. The way we handled that meeting, the things we said. You told me I was being dramatic. You told me to forgive him. You chose him. I was wrong. Yeah. You were. Neither of us said anything for a while. 3 years of nothing and now this. I am not coming back, I said finally. I am not helping Wesley. I am not rescuing Dominique from consequences she created for herself. I have a family now. A wife who chose me every single day. A daughter who needs me. People who actually want me around. I understand. Do you? More silence. I miss you, Brennan. Every day. I know. And I did know. But knowing did not change anything. Missing me does not undo what happened. Take care of yourself, Mom. I hung up. Meredith came into the room, Lily on her hip. Who was that? My mother. You okay? I looked at my wife, at my daughter, reaching for me with tiny fingers and a gummy smile. At the house we had built together, the life we had earned. Yeah, I said, and I meant it. I am okay. The final confrontation came 4 months later. Work conference back east. Could not avoid it. My presence was required for a leadership summit. I made the mistake of stopping at a coffee shop I used to frequent. Old habit. Wesley was there. He looked rough, 30-pound heavier, none of it healthy, eyes that had that flat, hollowed-out look of someone who had stopped expecting things to get better. 3 years of consequences written across his face. He spotted me before I could leave. Crossed the shop in 4 strides. Brennan, Wesley, you look good. Thanks. He shifted his weight. Same nervous energy as that day on my porch. I have been trying to reach you for years. Just wanted to say I know what you want to say. I have read the letters. Then you know I am sorry. I know I said it before, but I mean it. What I did was the worst thing I have ever done in my life, and I have had to live with it every single day since. Good. He blinked. Good. You should have to live with it. That is how consequences work. You make a choice, you live with the results. We are still family. No, we are not. I said it without anger, without heat, just fact. You stopped being my brother the day I found you in my bed with my fiancée. The family meeting confirmed it. You all made your choice, this is you living with it. I have changed. I have been working on myself. Great. Go be better somewhere else. I do not need you in my life. I do not want you there. And honestly, I do not think about you anymore. His face crumpled. That look people get when they finally realize you are not bluffing. That it is actually over. What about Mom? She is getting older. She has you. She picked you. Remember? I finished my coffee. Set the empty cup on a nearby table. Have a good life. Wesley. I mean that. Just have it away from me. I walked out. Did not look back. The spring sun was warm on my face. My flight home left in 4 hours. Meredith and Lily would be waiting at the airport when I landed. I got in my rental car and started driving toward the airport. 2,647 Mia between me and home. I would be there by tonight. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.